So hello and welcome to week 11. I can't believe I'm already at week 11. Like, seriously, that just doesn't seem possible that I've got this far this quickly. I'm sure somebody stole some time in the middle of it all. But there we go, that's life. This week, we're going to be talking about whistleblowing, and we're not talking the referee kind either. So just to give you a quick recap for those of you who are seeing me for the first time, my name is Dawn Bates. I'm an international best-selling author on multiple continents of many books, many of which are sat behind me, which I'm very excited about because I can just pull my books. That was just nearly Jim Collins's book, so that would be great. Good to great, as they say. And so I've been sailing around the world and traveling nonstop for 7 years, learning about some of the cultural issues that we're facing, human rights injustices, and getting ready to light some more fires. I won't say light some fires, but learning about just how many illusions and delusions that we have been fed over the years. Now, I've always been a bit of an activist. This has been one of the I've been very excited about this particular session. I do call myself an author activist because when we write our thoughts down, we do the research, we become intelligent activists, not the ones that are mindlessly violent or screaming and shouting and throwing tantrums in the street, although that has its place. But we're talking about intelligent activism here today, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm going to start the PowerPoint. I'm not going to use Canva because I've just realized that PowerPoint is a much better way for me to operate. I'm going old school, ladies and gentlemen, so bear with me one second. I need to share my screen. Blah, blah, blah. That's the PowerPoint one. See, Dawney's getting it. She's gonna do it one day and it's all gonna work really, really great. Woo! Okay, so there you go. You can see my picture. I think that was when I was in Fortaleza in the Nordeste of Brazil, one of my most favorite countries on the planet. And whistleblowing books, more than just a story, a strategic asset. So what do I mean by a strategic asset? Well, let's figure it out, shall we? So we all know of the great book by Stephen Covey, Begin with the End in Mind. And that is really what we need to be looking at here when we're writing a whistleblowing book. Because if we don't know what it is, that we might just want to rant and rave, and have those, I call them the pajama conversations with a glass of wine, because we're sat on the couch or with our friends and we are just letting rip about a particular subject that we're very, very passionate about, or we're sat around that dinner table and people are like, oh my God, will you just shut up for 5 minutes about that subject? We all know those conversations, and those are the things that are they're the fire in you, and they're the things that you're going to be wanting to possibly write a book about or put an end to. Now, it could be, for example, I'm going to give him a big shout out, Andrew Krager, and I have been talking about the greenwashing in the ITAD industry and the tech industry, and how lots of companies around the world are doing something called what we call greenwashing, where they're saying, oh, we're planting all these trees, we're recycling, our carbon footprint is da 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 da. But just like all of us parents, what we know when our child is being a bit of a tantrum thrower or not doing what we want them to do, we distract them with something over here because we want them away from over there. So the greenwashing is something along those lines. So when you're looking at what it is you want to do, is it about cleaning up the planet, such as with the greenwashing? Is it about holding these big corporates that do the greenwashing to account so that they change their practices and actually start being honest, get fined, or clear up their mess? Do you want to change the law? If so, what kind of law? And is it going to be where you're now going to study for a law degree, or you're going to get involved with, I was going to say Parliament, but that's very British of me, isn't it? Or like the government, are you going to become a senator if you're in the States? Are you going to start working for a political party? What is it you're going to be doing? Where is this book leading you? Now, we all know that with any book, where is the book leading you? But again, with the whistleblowing, we've got to be prepared to take what we've really got to be serious about what we're doing here. We can't just rant and rave and spew things out on Facebook or whatever platform we're on. We've got to really get intelligent about this and very, very strategic. And we've got to look at I mean, I've put here, are others going to go to prison? Now, I think most of us would love to see a few celebrities go to prison for certain behaviours. Won't mention too many names such as P. Diddy and Jeremy Epstein, but they need to go to prison. Well, Epstein did. Whether he's still there or he did take his own life is to be debated. But are you wanting someone to go to prison for their actions or what they're doing to your industry, or that they're doing to the education system or to children, or to are we wanting landlords to be held accountable for what the way they're treating their tenants? And is there something out there that you're seeing happening in the world that just needs your leverage, that needs you to give a spotlight on somebody else's efforts and go, come on, I've got the influence, I've got the reach, you haven't, I bloody agree with what you're doing, I absolutely stand with you. And let's just work together and actually leverage something that somebody else has got and already done. Are you going to form a charity? That can be a great way. Now, for those of us who are in Britain and in the US, we know that mental health issues are on the increase, and we also know here in Britain, the NHS, National Health Service, and the healthcare system in the States, they're stretched beyond measure. Not a lot of people can afford to go private or pay for their healthcare. So is it something that you're going to be doing? Are you doctors and nurses, or I was going to say kitchen porters then, or porters or administration staff that are going, you know what, we need to overthrow the president of this organization, this medical trust, or this pharmaceutical company, or this country? How far are we willing to go? Because some of us were in Tahrir Square and protesting against Mubarak, and we were very jubilant when he got the heave-ho. Go and read my second book, Wallahi. That will teach you a thing about the Egyptian uprising that the media did not want you to know. Now, when we are looking at something in the terms of the medical industry, what we're seeing is there's so many charities that are being set up because our healthcare systems cannot cope with the amount of demand that's out there. So people are setting up charities. They're setting up, for example, with mental health, you've got somatic yoga. You have got individual private individuals and organizations funding the healthcare that our government should be doing from the taxes that we pay. Are we holding the government to account? Because once we know what we're actually aiming for, then we get to dive into the legalities of it all. Because if we are going to overthrow a president, are we going to be the one that goes to prison? And if we do overthrow a president, who's going to go in their place? Is it better the devil you know? Or is it better the devil, what the hell did we just do? And will there be a military coup like there was in Egypt? Those were the days back there in Egypt in the warm weather. Miss it. But anyway, daydreams aside, when we understand the legalities, now, for example, when we know that we have got to get our house in order. When I fought Scotland police over my false arrest back in 2015, then wrote a book about it, I knew that I could not just focus on criminal law. I had to focus on human rights law, and I had to understand and focus on family law. Now, if you work within the legal industry, you will know that a family law lawyer, solicitor, they will not be able to represent somebody in criminal law or in human rights law. And someone from corporate law, they're not going to have a chance in the family courts. So you've got to know the law from every aspect, because if you're going to do this, you've got to do it properly. This is why you need someone like me who's a bit of a geek and loves going down those rabbit holes. So understand the legalities, but also understand the implications. Are you going to be arrested? Are you going to go to prison? Are you prepared to go to prison? Because just like I said to the lawyers, I would I'm not going to tell a lie to give truth to other people's lies, and I was prepared to go to prison for telling the truth. That's a statement I want you to really, really hold on to. Are you prepared to go to prison for telling the truth? And also, are you prepared to put those that you love, i.e. your wife or your husband, that knows what you're writing about, are you prepared for them to be interrogated? Are they prepared to be interrogated? Now, this might seem a bit all drama and scary, but it absolutely is. When you're whistleblowing, you've got to be very careful. You've got to keep quiet for maybe a very long time while you gather research, while you gather evidence, whilst you work on a court case. There are some people that I'm talking with that we're going to be working together. We can't work together until court cases are done. My third book, Crossing the Line, I couldn't write that book for 3 years because I had to wait for court evidence. And that's the thing. How soon are you going to write this book? How long is it going to take you? And once you get to the end of the book, is the law still the same as it was when you first started writing it? Or have you got to go to the beginning of the book and update the legalities and the knowledge that you're putting in there? So, for example, when Debbie Debonair wrote the book Alive to Thrive, when we first started writing that book, it was stories about women who attempted to take their own life by suicide and the journey that they had taken. Now, because of certain events around the world, i.e. COVID, and the mental health issues that were going on with that, and the trigger warnings and the laws that changed around disclaimers, there were certain things we had to go into the book and change from the very beginning, and then we had to add more disclaimers and trigger warnings within the book. So you really do need to understand not just the law, but also things such as trigger warnings, legalities, legal changes. Maybe there's been a new clause added to the law, and also is your family ready to support you on this? Are they going to be standing with you when all of this is said and done? Are you prepared to lose everything? Your family, your home, your finances, your reputation for this cause? Because if you're not, then you have some real serious thinking to do. Are you going to be an armchair warrior or somebody sitting in a coffee shop whinging and moaning about things, or are you actually really serious about this? If you are serious about it, what safeguarding measures are you going to be putting in place? Because are you going to be putting money off in the Cayman Islands, or in the Isle of Jersey if you're British, or Switzerland, the hot spots? Are you going to have a place where you can go with the family just before the book is released? Are you going to have a group of people around you? How are you going to safeguard yourself and all that's important to you? Especially your children. If you're writing about something really sensitive, have you had those conversations with your children and their school? Because once that goes out, I mean, we all know that some of our careers, our children are like, oh, Dad, did you have to? Mum, did you have to write about that? Do you have to go and talk about that all the time? Our kids are important. They're going to give us an honest answer if we've allowed them to have the freedom of speech in their own home. Because if anybody knows anything about working with children or being a parent, they tell it like it is. Well, my boys do anyway. Also, the NDAs. If you are going to be working on this book with somebody, on the information that you're going to be sharing, have you got a non-disclosure agreement in place? Have you got, do you need contracts in place? Do you need to have your last will and testament sorted out? Do you need to, like I say, sign over your home to your adult children, or put the home with covenants or trusts in place? Because if you go to court, or if you're talking about something in a financial world, will they try and take your resources from you? If it's in your name, like, sorry, so example, it's you and your wife who own the house, is it better to sign the house over to your wife, or like vice versa? Or if you've got an elderly, can you hold the properties and your money in trust for your children? What are the legalities around that? How are you planning for worst case scenario? Now, these might seem quite drastic measures, but if you're going to whistleblow on something, you've got to be prepared for every eventuality. And you've also got to remember that the people who say that they're going to support you, when that heat gets turned up and things get really, really difficult and the media start slandering you or start trying to discredit you, are those allies going to still be around for you at the end of the day? Are they still going to be your allies? Are they still going to be in your corner? Or are they only around you because it makes them feel great and they love the celebrity and the kudos of being around you when everything is going perfectly, only to run away and hide when things go a bit bad? Or are they going to turn on you? Now, remember, some people, they do say everybody's got a price. What's the price of your allies? When will they sell you out? When will they run? Or are they the people that are the ride or die kind of people? I'm a ride or die kind of woman. That's just how it is. Like, you ask any of my friends, some of them daren't even tell me what their goals are, because every time I see them, I'm like, have you done it yet? Have you quit that yet? Have you started doing that yet? Yeah, I'm that woman. So, number 4, I just mentioned the media. When you have launched your book and you've gone public with everything, what's going to be the media reaction? Are you going to be a champion of the people? Are you going to be that hero that everybody has been looking for, and the one that everyone goes, oh my God, I knew that. I had a feeling. I knew that was going to be. How are you going to be presented? How are you going to own that narrative? Now, for example, I'm going to use one of my favorite authors of all time, Captain Gavin Menzies. Unfortunately, he passed away a couple of years ago. Just to timestamp this, this is the 20th of March, 2025. So Gavin Menzies died a couple of years ago. He was a naval sea captain, and he was in a museum and he was looking at the charts of around the world, and he came across one that predated Magellan. And he saw that what is now known as the Magellan Straits down in Chile was actually there before Magellan got there. Magellan knew this, and Magellan used this to actually leverage funding for his expedition around the southern tip of Chile. Now, one of the things that Gavin Menzies realized was, if that was already there, what else was there? And he started digging, and then he started to realize how it was the Chinese people who discovered the world. In 1421, he wrote this incredible book. And it's one of those books where there are certain gaps in your history knowledge and that your understanding of the world. And it's one of those books that when you read it, you go, that was the missing jigsaw piece. Now I get it. Oh, that makes a lot of sense. And honestly, it's a book. It's a bit of a brick of a book, but I read it in a week. I couldn't put it down. But what Gavin did is he created a website where he put all of his evidence up on the website, and he had a private hosting, and it was done on multiple continents. And he invited all of the linguistic people, the linguists. He invited geneticists. He invited technical experts to back up his claims, and they were sharing their evidence on there. So it wasn't just the evidence that he had gathered. He invited them to have an open source on his website where they could share the evidence, because what Gavin then exposed was places like Australia were not discovered by Captain James Cook, and the Australian government do not want. I'm probably going to get this video taken down off YouTube for sharing this. Oh my Lord, are you prepared to be cancelled? I've been cancelled more times than someone's Netflix subscription, no doubt. But anyway, the Australian government have blocked people from diving off certain places, such as Fraser Island in Australia, because the Chinese junk ships are there. And that's the thing. I mean, Gavin can't defend himself now, but when he wrote 1434, how the Chinese junk ship sparked the Italian Renaissance, he actually discredited people like Da Vinci, because a lot of his inventions were not his, they were from China. And when we look at Chinese settlements around the world, we look at how animals got from one place to another. Gavin's research makes a lot of sense, but he was discredited. His name was trashed. But he had put these things in place to actually help prevent people he put things in place to actually help us do our own research and actually find the experts in other fields that we were having. And it's been such a great rabbit hole for me to go down, especially as a sailor. Again, so if you've got evidence, how can you disarm stories that are coming out against you, such as Captain Gavin Menzies? Can you share it online in a website? Can you make sure that that evidence is there for everybody to have access to it so they can see where you're coming from? Are you allowed to share that evidence and make copies? Because we all know, we've all seen the movies, haven't we, where that evidence gets destroyed. You know, a USB stick gets trampled on or stood on. You've got to make your backups. And if you can anticipate what the media are going to say about you, then you can create a narrative or your own story. Now, my first book, Friday Bridge, I knew that where my career was going. I knew I'd be incredibly successful, and I knew that I would be known around the world. And I didn't want the people who I used to go raving with many, many years ago go, oh, I know Dawn, I used to go raving with her. And I'm like, yeah, go read my first book. It's all in there. I owned my story. Some people might call that doing an M&M, but the only M&Ms I do like M&M, but I do like the peanut ones as well. Anyway, moving on. I mentioned your allies. I know this is a lot of information for you all to be taken in. That's why I send the backup and the recording to you all. Those of you who are watching the recording, thank you. You've got to create that solid network and support group like Gavin did with his website, because you are going to need them. And I've just noticed, I've just spotted my own spelling mistake. Oh my God, where's my editor? But you're going to need your allies and your support group. You're going to need that solid network, because when you get hammered, you're going to need a place to retreat. You've got to have a very, very thick skin to be able to do a whistleblowing book. You've really got to, especially when you're exposing things that are going to impact the government or the police, and corporate espionage. So when you're doing that, are the people you're building around you, is their credibility going to be challenged? Are they going to give you further credibility? Are they people that are invisible, people that you can just go and hide in a cabin in the woods and go fly fishing with, or trout fishing, or whatever you call it? I think it's trout fishing, they go fly fishing. And if you are somebody who is very close to your family, how can you help support them through what you're all going to go through as a family? Because at the end of the day, our families are the most important people in our life. But if we're writing a book, or we're writing a book to create a documentary or a stage show or whatever the end goal is, are the investigative reporters and the film crew for your documentary that supports the book, are they willing to go there? Are they willing to go and have their reputations? Who are going to be your biggest champions? I mean, if we go back a few years, there was a Netflix documentary about a guy called Stephen Avery, who murdered this young woman who was selling advertising space in the Auto Trader. These two lawyers jumped on his court case, and it was a Netflix scandal. I only got involved with it because a friend was like, Dawn, you've got to watch it. It's absolutely brilliant. Watched it, and, you know, a miscarriage of justice. We're seeing the Innocence Project. Could they be one of your champions? Are you championing young men that are incarcerated for the color of their skin? Are you going to be championing healthcare reforms within the prison system. How can you get your biggest champions on board, and how is their credibility going to breed your credibility? Now, step 6 is more about the publicity side of it. And we touched on this in a few of the other sessions. Because the thing is that when you have written a book that is dangerous to people's way of thinking, because remember, when we expose something that people have believed is a lie, and they've bought into that lie, and they have trusted that lie, when they find out they've been lied to, people get angry. People become traumatized because it makes them realize that they've been lied to about one thing. They could be lied to about something else. And then that golden thread, that red thread that gets pulled, that will actually unravel a lot for them. And if you are speaking on stage, or you're on the local radio, or you're in the tabloids, and these people see you, what's their reaction going to be? Are they going to be angry with you? Are they going to be at the events that you're speaking at? How is your personal safety going to be protected? Are the podcasters who are going to be sharing your story, are they going to have to take down their entire show? Are they going to, are the TV stations or the streaming services, what liability is in place for the people that are hosting them? Are they going to have to remove your show? Have they, as the Latinas say, have they got the cojones for you to actually keep your show on air? Are they going to champion you? Are they the right channel for you? And again, the tabloids, they may not be something that you read, but the readers of the tabloids may be your biggest champion, because tabloid papers whip up people. They get the herd mentality going. And if it is something that they're really passionate about, the tabloids could be your biggest allies. Allies, not alloys. I don't know why I thought of alloys, to be honest. Tabloids, they could be your biggest champion, even though you don't trust them, you don't read them. But we have to do things, because for example, my third book, Crossing the Line, when I wrote about my arrest in Scotland, I knew that the police, if they'd have known who I was, they wouldn't have come near me with a barge pole, because they picked on the wrong mama bear. And if they'd have known me, they'd have known I was the wrong mama bear to mess with. So I knew that the people that they're probably doing what they did to me, they were probably doing it to other people. And those people were the people who would normally read the tabloids. So the tabloids became my outlet here in Britain, as well as what people call the trashy magazines. They could be your biggest allies. So get working with them. And are they going to pay you for your story, or is that going to be seen as a bribe? Is that going to be seen from you profiting from something you shouldn't be profiting from? Should you be getting paid for exposing the story? Well, yeah, if you're going to come into safety issues, because you've got to put security in place. Are you going to be launching a business, or being accused of, I've written in here, corporate espionage. I mentioned it a few moments ago. How are you going to leverage this book and your findings? Are you going to be creating what some people might call a federation or an ombudsman? Are you prepared to do a legal report, a white paper? Are you getting the universities on side? Where are you going? What are you doing? And how much effort and time and resources and time, and also time away from your family, how much is that all going to cost you? Is it going to, if not writing the book, is going to cost you in more in sleep and your mental health and your emotional health? You've got to start weighing these things up, and you've got to be ready for it. You've got to be willing to talk about this book and this situation, and maybe make this documentary, then go on to do the press circuits around the world. You might have to go to certain places. You might have to completely change your identity. Are you prepared to do all of that? Now, I'm trying to cover as many different whistleblowing issues as possible. Most people, when they write a whistleblowing book, are not going to have to change their identity or go into hiding or face going to prison. The reason they're writing these books is to actually hold other people to account. But it has to be mentioned. You have to be aware of the consequences and the circumstances around it. You cannot go in blind. You absolutely cannot. Which leads me on to the 3 questions I always ask all of my clients, whether they're my business coaching clients or my author coaching clients. What is the worst that can happen? Because when you know what the worst is, your subconscious brain is already prepared. Like, this is what could happen. Yep, the fear has been removed. Well, the biggest part of it. What's the best that can happen? Because if you can imagine the absolute very best that could happen, I guarantee you that God or universal source, however you wish to call it, has got something better for you. And what's most likely to happen? Is it that you're a bit of a, you might not be very famous, you might not have much of an audience, but what's most likely to happen is that you're going to have a moment in the spotlight, you're going to have, and that moment might be 6 months, it might be 6 years, it might be the rest of your life. You've got to understand how big your story is. And once you know, and you've done all that preparation that I've just covered before, once you know all of those, then these 3 questions become really easy to answer. Because if you are ready for what you think is going to happen, have you left that gifting contingency from the universe? Now, those of us who know about the phrase, we make plans and God laughs, or the other one is the law of attraction. You have to leave a contingency. Now, some people, when they're talking about manifesting, will say that you have to manifest everything to the exact. But if you do that, how are you allowing? We only use a certain percentage of our brain. We cannot comprehend what the universe has in store. We cannot comprehend what our destiny really truly is, because we are human. So when we're planning for the best of what's to happen and we're asking for certain results, we have to leave a little bit of contingency and a little bit of wiggle room for the universe to deliver even more. And one of the best things about writing a book and then going on to expand the brand maybe into TV or radio or podcasts, etc., or training courses, or whatever it is that you're looking at doing and using your book to catapult you into, is the amount of lives that you're either going to save or inspire. Now, on average, books are read by 4 people. So I will buy a copy, I'll lend it to a friend, and if they crease the spine, bend the covers, or turn the corner of the page, I'm not going to be happy with them. I give them a bookmark. But 4 people on average read every single book. So, for example, I've got this one here. It's Becoming Annie. She was a lady that I wrote a biography about. And for every book sold, you're actually impacting a minimum of 4 lives. And then those 4 people, the change in them or the knowledge that they've gained, they will talk about it maybe with another 4 people. And when you start looking at the impact of that, and you start looking at how many lives you need to impact, how many lives you could impact, the ripple effect of writing this book and the changes that you can make in the world, they're huge. And who are we to hide what we know? Because it's pretty selfish of us. If we know something that can actually help save another person, if we have the information about a certain something that's happening and we keep quiet, what are the likelihoods? What are the likely events that can happen? Now, I will share a story. There was a chap that I'd met on the train because I was crossing Canada researching human trafficking. And he told me he'd got stage 4 cancer. Well, you need some turkey tails. He goes, I need some what? I said, you need some turkey tail mushrooms. You need to go organic. You need to get involved in, you need to buy Dr. Joe Dispenza's Becoming Supernatural. You are the placebo. You need to download his meditations. And I found out a couple of months ago that he's now free from cancer because he implemented a diet of the turkey tail mushrooms. He did the meditations, he did the epigenetics at Dr. Joe Dispenza, and he cleaned up his diet and he got healthy. His doctors couldn't believe it. And I know lots and lots of people around the world that had cancer that followed those traits. I would never have a mammogram, ever. I would never have chemotherapy. They're just my choices because of the information that I have. And I share that with them. I share that with people. And I know that the people who have been able to heal themselves from cancer, they have gone on to live incredible lives and share those and save the lives of others. Who are we to keep this information to ourselves? And the thing is, if we stay silent about something, what are the results of staying quiet? We're all very happy to talk. Excuse me. We're all very happy to refer somebody to recommend a movie or recommend a book that we've written, or sorry, a book that we've read, or a restaurant that we've been to, or actually tell people I wouldn't go, I wouldn't bother. But how many of us are actually really sharing the things that matter? So the question to you now is, are you ready to play full out, or are you going to stay silent? Now, before I wrap up and invite, I want to thank you for accepting my invitation to connect. But there is a couple of things I wanted to bring to your attention. If you are thinking of writing a book, or you want to discuss anything that has been in today's session, you can go to authors.youcanbook.me and actually book a 45-minute free strategy session with me. You'll be able to see, the different dates on there. There's only 3 more dates for March. There's quite a few for April, which is quite surprising because that's quite a busy month for me. And if you are not ready to jump in and do a full-on coaching or publishing, you might want to check out my 7-week author course over on my website, dawnbates.com, 7-week author course, where we actually talk about, this is self-study. You can actually work with me through this course, but there are 7 modules for you to work through, which actually helps you put in place an actual plan. Now, this course was designed for you wherever you are. It wasn't designed for you to be at the very beginning. It's designed for you wherever you are in business, wherever you are in your awakening, wherever you are in your book journey. It's an action plan, and it doesn't just help you with your with authoring a book. It helps you in all areas of your life. And to share with you, just one of the people that I teamed up with, Steve Whittle, we've actually got an event coming up because we were talking about some of the topics that I write about and I coach people to write about are quite sensitive. They do trigger a lot of people, but we've got an event coming up on the 14th of May at the Royal Society of Arts House in London. And it's talking about this topics that people don't want to talk about. So again, we've got a gentleman who's speaking out against child abuse. This gentleman is Jeremy Indica. He's absolutely fantastic. You can find him on LinkedIn, Break the Silence, and his is something to say. So he's going actually out into schools to actually share his story about being abused as a child, so that the children in the schools can actually know the signs and actually get the help at early stages. Then we've got a young lady, Samsonia. She started out as a volunteer for an organization called Borso, and she's actually bringing awareness such as domestic abuse, forced marriage, and modern slavery. And she'll be joining us. And these are some really, really, again, like I say, very, very powerful subjects. But again, she started as a volunteer, and she's now the CEO of a multi-million-pound company, organization and charity. And then we've got Steve Whittle, who's a gentleman that I did the Man Up book with, and he's the founder of Tough to Talk. And I've known this chap for a couple of decades actually. And so we're actually teaming up to actually bring these. So these are your allies. These are the kind of things that you can do. And you can put, like I said, we all know about events, those of us who are in business, but how can you start sharing your story or volunteering when you've got your book? How is it going to help? Are you, like Samsonia, going to be organizing events and charities and building shelters for individuals to feel safe? Are you helping to stop the human trafficking? Are you helping to advocate for a cause, such as Jeremy, getting people to open up and share their stories through video? So again, just a couple of things there that that I can help you with, or some ideas. And if you are in London on the 14th of May, or you are in Britain on the 14th of May, do come along and join us at the RSA House. Tickets include a free copy of the book, Man Up, and signed as well by Steve. So that is it for my section of it. I'm going to open up the floor. Eric, would you like to come off? If you got any questions that you would like to ask, if there's anything you'd like to add, please do come on. We've got Eric here. I've got the message in the chat. You feel like you're in 007 school? Yeah. Do you have the martini with you though? That's the thing.
Yeah, this is I'm just listening and taking it all in.
Mm.
And I was looking at your website again. I was like, wow, you the real deal, Holyfield.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've only got the surface part of you when we have spoken in the past, but now to hear you speak and share, the training, I mean, it's like you're in what is it, Navy SEAL school. And
Mm,
it really, when you come to, we can talk the talk when it's time to walk the walk, to
mm,
really write a book or to become an advocate on the level that you're speaking of. I mean, this is something that, really makes you think before you
mm.
do something, you know. So,
Absolutely.
so if anybody's serious about it, they definitely need to sign up a course with you, or get a consultation with you before really doing something, because you really give them the reality of, you know, the world that they're going to go into. Because a lot of
Mm,
people can say one thing, like you said, hey, I'm going to expose this to an organization. And of course, you're going against an organization, whether it be government, private, or whatever, that may have the resources and the bounds to do a lot of harm to you. And then you have to think
mm,
about, well, if you have family and friends or an organization of yourself, you have to be thinking like, wow, am I going to risk doing this, because it's going to impact not only my life, but the lives of others. So it's just, I really, it's really an eye awakening. And
thank you.
I guess you call yourself, you're the unicorn of activists.
Oh no, I'm not. I'm not a unicorn. Technically challenged. I used to be technically. A friend of mine used to send me the technically challenged unicorn. No, I'm a mermaid. I'm a sea witch. I'm a mermaid. Um, but I'm not the Disney mermaid. I'm a Banksy mermaid. Yeah, no, and this is one of the reasons why I do these sessions, and why I share them for free, because this information is vital for a lot of people. And today has just been about the whistleblowing. And I get so many people come to me and send me messages and want to, um, you know, ask questions because they've been told so many things. And one of the reasons that you noticed I timestamp these sessions, because I've done quite a number of seminars over the years. And the people who I've done them for, they've not timestamped them. And so they've just put them out, or they've repurposed part of it at a much later date. And some of that information has been it's been outdated, because as we know, laws change really quickly, and lawyers can't even keep up with the laws that they're studying in their field. And if I can help others um, protect themselves and create a life by design that's really truly nourishing for them, then that's, I've been helped a lot in my life. I've had mentors. I've studied a lot of free content. I've also invested close to, well, it's probably over 500,000 now in my education. And for me, it's vital that we do that, because if we're going to talk on certain subjects, or we're going to write about certain subjects, we better be ready to have someone, pick our book up and open it at a page and go, right, well, you said on page, I don't know what page this is, page 46, you said you can only achieve what you truly believe, or you said Annie was enjoying the balance of studying and working, balancing the theory with the practical, learning and implementing straight away was the best way for her to excel in everything she was doing and becoming. What evidence do you have for that, Dawn? I was like, well, I grilled that woman. I found stuff out about Annie that Annie didn't even know was on the internet, and it was on the internet. And I found stuff out about her that she'd even forgotten about in her own life. Incredible woman. And again, it's about making sure that even the people we write a biography about, like Annie, I was like, if you're going to hire me to write your biography, you better be ready for me to challenge you and write what I think needs to be written, rather than writing what you want me to write, because it's a biography. It has to be accurate. And again, there are certain things in Annie's book that we wrote in there, and we did receive threatening legal letters, and it was like, okay, well, here you go, here's the evidence. And people disappeared. When we wrote the Tough to Talk book, we had people, we had a certain person come to us and send us a legal letter. I was like, okay, this is the situation, this is what we've got. You know, obviously we didn't share the exact details of what we'd got, but this is the situation. They went away. When I wrote Crossing the Line, the amount of legal referencing and documentation and citation links. And this is when we're writing books, we have to have evidence to back up everything we're writing, which is why I'm not a fan of people using AI. Don't use AI to write your book. You know what you know. And the moment you give your power away to a computer program, you lose that power. It might, and if you are not inspired to write a book without using AI, is that really the book you want to be writing? And can you trust AI? No, you can't trust AI. You know, because some of the links that are used by AI, are they, for example, one of the things that I didn't mention is on some of the research in some of my books that I've been doing, I have what we I have a VPN, a virtual private network. Those of us who travel or know what a VPN is, we know that if we change the location, we can gain extra films on Netflix. We can access certain channels that we won't be able to in other countries. We won't be able to use certain websites or social media platforms. But what using a VPN actually allows us to do is do the research in countries about certain things that our own country and our own government won't allow us to know. So, for example, when I was living in Egypt and I was doing some of the research for my book, I was actually using the dark web. When I was traveling around through Latin America, it's quite interesting because people used to think I was, so if I was in I was showing up in Brazil, I was actually in Colombia. And so I was always making sure the country that I was known in publicly for, I was actually not in that country, or I was not in that location of that country. Because again, some of the things that I was writing and investigating could have landed me in trouble. I went to the places, the ganglands of Latin America. I traveled the human trafficking routes of Canada. I went and I spoke to people, and I sat there in no man's. I've crossed borders that, you know, I've had to run across for various reasons. And I've been met at border crossings with military weapons and shaking and thinking, I hope I get across here. Because the other thing is, when you're in certain countries, when people know that you're a writer, or people know that if you're seen writing anything down, governments can get suspicious, the police can get suspicious. One of the things that kicked off the Egyptian uprising was conversations a certain young man had in coffee shops. There's a reason why public spaces are being shut down, and why we're being encouraged to stay indoors and away from each other. I have to read this. I really do. You're a Navy SEAL, Rambo, Ethan Hawke all together. Yeah, the female version. I am Dawn Bates. But yeah, we have to protect ourselves. I've got 2 young boys. As much as I wanted to grab some of those young girls away from the human traffickers, I knew that if I had have even tried, I'd have been trafficked with them or murdered right there on the spot. And I couldn't risk it because I wouldn't be able to talk about the stuff that I now know about, and things we have to do. We have to make choices. Is it worth it? I think so. Literature can literally save the world. Said the word nerd and the book geek.
Wow, so you would be an action hero, 007. Like I was saying, the things that you're sharing, I'm like, wow. You're amazing.
Thank you. Sometimes I don't, yeah, I hear some of the things I say and I'm like, oh yeah, that was me. That was my life. Yeah, that is my life, and
Yeah.
I'm here in Britain for a short period of time before I head off on my next sort of travels. So
Wow.
yeah,
I'm impressed.
thank you. And I'm looking forward to working with you on our book. So just to give those of you who don't know, I will be writing that we've got the Man Up book. I think that's in the other room. We're working on that at the moment, where I'm actually putting together a book called Male versus Man, which is all about men when they realize that they become a man. And it's all about protecting self, family and community. So that ties in really well, because a lot of the time society likes to tell a man that he's not a man, or when he will be a man, or what is a man. And so I want to help men put the record straight. So if you are seeing this and it is in March or April and you'd like to be mentioned in the book or interviewed for the book alongside Mr. Eric Heilich, then please do send me a message via LinkedIn or via my website, dawnbates.com/contact. You should be able to find me from all the links that Tai will put beneath this video. And yeah, if you're watching it on YouTube, thank you for watching on YouTube. And Eric, thank you very much for joining us live today. I really appreciate you. And yeah, that's it. We're done for today. Thank you so much.